Hello everyone, so welcome to my channel. Today I will be talking about tortoise mistakes that you might have done or that you might be doing and you don't realize it, or just stuff that you should avoid if you're wanting a tortoise and you're doing your research. So I'll just be talking about that today and I hope it's helpful. This is my first time on camera, so I hope I'm not too awkward. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. So let's get into it. The first mistake that you might have done or that you could possibly do is impulse buying. Now this is a mistake that I am guilty, and honestly I'm probably guilty of most of these mistakes, I'm not gonna lie. When you impulse buy an animal, it's just not good. You have to do your research. These animals, when they are in pet stores, they are so small and so cute and little. They're little babies. They are advertised as super easy to care for, good pets, and they're not that good of a pet, if I'm honest with you. They aren't cuddly. I would not recommend that you get this for your kid. They have a very long lifespan, which you really have to consider because some of these can go up to 100+ years old, so it's a big commitment pet. So the next topic is species misidentification. You really have to know what tortoise species you have. There are so many subspecies of tortoises and it's so hard to identify sometimes. For example, my tortoises, they are Greek tortoises, but they come from an arid place. Most Greek tortoises are from a more temperate place, so you really have to know what species you're working with and all of that, because it really depends on the care, basically. So you really have to make sure that you are providing it with good care and with the right care. Different species have different requirements. The wrong care can lead to illnesses, such as, for example, if you have a arid environment tortoise in a very tropical like setting in your house, it's probably going to develop shell rot, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's not nice. It's just the humidity and the temperature, everything is off and they just won't develop as they should. So you really should check that out and make sure you have the right species that you want. And that's another thing, because some species get really big and other species just stay small and don't grow a lot, like mine. For example, if you're looking into a sulcata, you have to have a big backyard, or somewhere where you can house a big tortoise like that. If you live in an apartment or something like that, like I do, a Greek tortoise or maybe a Horsfield tortoise is more for you. The third topic I want to talk about is their diet. Now this is a very controversial topic. It needs a lot of research and there are so many opinions online, and it's just hard to pinpoint what exactly your tortoise needs. It's just, you really have to research, because again, based on where they come from, some species are grassland species, others are tropical species. So sometimes people might say don't ever feed fruit to your tortoise, but if it's a tropical tortoise, then it's okay. So you really have to, it's really hard to get the diet right, and you really need a lot of research. And again, if you don't get that right, they will develop pyramiding, they can have metabolic bone disease, and it's just a bunch of trouble that you do not want to get involved with. And yeah, it's hard as well to pinpoint exactly what their diet should be. Another thing is housing, and this is a topic that I actually thought about making a video dedicated to it. Terrariums and glass enclosures, they're really not that good. I've kept mine in glass enclosures. You can literally check back older videos and I have them in glass enclosures. and I stood by it like, nah, they're fine, but you know, they doesn't hurt them or anything, but they just don't really understand the concept of class, and they'll just kind of try and go through it, and it's annoying for you and for them. So it's not a good situation. They just don't understand that concept. And a tortoise table, since it's wooden and all of the sides are blocked visually, they just won't try to go through it, and they will stay in their little space and will be a lot more relaxed and calm. So next is lighting, and this has to do with the lamps and all of that. So it's also kind of a controversial topic because people say that the red heat lamps can harm their eyesight, other people say that it doesn't, so it really depends. You gotta do your research. If you have an indoor enclosure, you definitely need a UVB lamp, a strip lamp or something, because they need the UVB rays. You also need a heat source, so I'll leave that up to you because I don't want to get into those controversial topics. If you have an outdoor enclosure, just make sure that they have access to sunlight so that they can have some UVB rays either way. Also a hiding place so that they can also thermoregulate, because they don't have their own body temperature. Basically, if they want to be warm, they'll go to the warm part of their enclosure. If they want to be cold, they'll go to the colder part of the enclosure. They don't have their own body temperature, so you have to keep that in mind as well. So next topic is substrate. There are a lot of opinions. There are always a lot of opinions. I know I keep saying that throughout the video, but it's true. The substrate that I use is organic topsoil, and it works perfectly for me. I hear that the best kind of substrate that you could use is basically a 50-50 mix of topsoil and play sand. I've never tried it because sand is kind of not well seen in the reptile keeping hobby. Yeah, it's just, I don't recommend sand. Just sand, it's completely a big no because it can really cause impaction if they eat it, and it's not good. I would suggest dirt, or you can use coconut fiber, although it does mold a little bit easily if you have a high humidity tortoise. I would not recommend aspen shavings because those are very dry. You can't really regulate the humidity in that. Or you can use tea bark that I've seen and I've used before. It's also good for keeping the humidity. You have to try with what works best for you. Please don't use sand. Next is humidity and temperature, which this goes back to the kind of species that you own and the kind of tortoise that you own. So you do not want to get desert species and keep it in a high humidity and a very hot enclosure, because it won't do well in it, and it can cause all sorts of illnesses. It can cause a respiratory infection because of the high humidity. You just really have to be careful about that, and you have to be careful about the research that you do. They are thermoregulators, like I said before, so they will need a warm side and a colder side. It's good if you give them that opportunity. And lastly, but definitely not least, is handling. Most tortoises will not enjoy it. Some tortoises tolerate it. Mine actually do. They don't really care for it, but they are not a cuddly pet. If you want a pet that you can play with and do stuff with, these are not the pet for you. It doesn't work like that. They aren't cuddly. They don't like being held or played with. A mistake that you might have done is constantly pulling them out of their enclosure. They get stressed easily, and you just want to leave them alone and not handle them very much, unless you have to. For example, if you are trying to medicate them or something like that, I would definitely recommend that you pick them up, but just try your best to avoid it and leave it alone. So I think that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope I wasn't too awkward on my first video where I show my face. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I just released new merch. I will link that down below. It's really cute, and I also have all of my social media linked down below, which you can follow me there for more updates, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!